With 2021 coming to a close, I wanted to do a recap on my investing profile, as well as talk about 2022 and where I think the markets are headed and how I'm positioning myself for next year. To give you guys an idea of where I'm personally invested in these markets, I broke down my net worth by asset class. Most of my worth is between stocks and crypto, which makes sense because that's what I mostly talk about on this channel. You'll see that I don't have any physical real estate. The only real estate exposure I have is through things like VNQ, and that's part of the stock portfolio. But overall, this is how my wealth is broken down. You may be asking, why do I hate real estate so much? I don't hate it. I just never got involved with it. I have a better understanding with stocks, and I've always loved stocks over real estate because of how passive stocks are. With stocks, I don't have anyone calling me to complain about living conditions, or I don't have random repairs that I either have to fix or hire someone to fix at 3 a.m. in the morning. I know the benefits of real estate, and it's definitely something I'll get involved in later on in life. I kind of made a decision, a big decision in 2021 to quit my full-time position as a senior financial analyst at a Fortune 200. And if I stayed there for a little longer while working on Main Street Wolf on the side, I probably would have gotten into real estate a little sooner because of the dependability of my income there. I made the decision to go as a full-time creator, building my financial platform, the education website, mainstreetwolf.com. So I went all into that. So I'm using my cash position more as a bigger buffer instead of using that to put a down payment on real estate right now. As I become a little bit more stable in the future, then I'll start to look at real estate again. With that said, let's talk about stocks and where I think this market will go in 2022. In 2021, we saw a resurgence in real estate, financials, and energy as the sector leaders for this year, which makes sense because in 2020, these are the sectors that performed poorly. We were coming out of the pandemic, and these are the sectors that were really getting beaten down. Once things calmed down a little bit, people realized that there was going to be demand for energy, financials, they weren't going to go bankrupt because of all the loans they gave out. They all bounced back and bounced back hard. Going into 2022, I think financials still have room to do well versus the general market because of the environment we're in with the Fed, where they're raising rates and tapering, which should allow banks and financial stocks to make more money going forward. To get an idea of what other sectors will do well in 2022, we can look at something like the business cycle and see what part of the cycle we're in. If we look at the research coming out of Fidelity on where they think the business cycle is for the US, it's past the midpoint and headed towards the late part of the cycle, meaning that growth is starting to slow down, the credit is starting to tighten, and the earnings aren't growing as exponentially. Taking that into account, going into a late cycle means that consumer staples, energy, healthcare, materials, and utilities may be the companies that do well. And if you look at tech companies, consumer discretionary, more stuff related to growth may underperform. I tend to agree with those assumptions because 2020 as well as 2021 were years of explosive growth for earnings. Every single year can't be explosive growth. There's some point where the earnings starts to slow down, and I think we're going to start to see that because the comps are becoming harder and harder to beat, which I wrote about in my free weekly newsletter, Hunting for Alpha, that I do like sectors like healthcare, utilities, and consumer staples going into 2022. Does this mean I'm selling all of my growth stocks and going all in on utility companies? No, I don't like to over-rotate and chop myself up by trying to perform too much sector rotation, but it is definitely something I look at when I'm buying stuff now going into next year. For instance, with my public portfolio that's currently sitting at $60,863, the past couple weeks I've been more focused on buying companies like Johnson & Johnson, Facebook, Ally. These are kinds of companies that I believe have good cash flow, are still growing, and will do well in this type of market environment. I will continue to nibble onto growth stocks that I believe are discounted and not trading at crazy high multiples. Things like Digital Turbine, Bumble, Disney. These are some of the stocks that I'm looking to add even though they are growth. Basically, I'm trying to avoid buying hyper growth stocks that are trading at extremely high multiples. Leaning my 2022 purchases more towards stalwarts versus fast growers. Overall, I think the stock market will go up next year. I just don't think we'll be seeing those 20+ gains that we're used to in 2020 as well as 2021. Switching gears gears a little bit, let's talk a little bit more about the crypto markets. 2021 was a great year for crypto investors. This is actually the second bull run that I've been part of. The first one I saw in 2017, and I saw the euphoria in 2017 and did take some profits along the way up, and we went into a bear market for years, and boom, we popped back up again in 2020, going in 2021. Again in 2021, my strategy was take profits after an insane year of gains and put a little bit into stable coins. That way, if we do go into a bear market, I have some capital to redeploy back into the markets and increase my potential stake in crypto. Meaning my exposure to crypto is more like 14-15% versus this 20%, because around 5 to 6% is in stable coins. 2022, I'm fully prepared for a bear market because I think we're running into something similar we saw in 2017, where we go through these speculative cycles, which drives awareness to the space, but also drives to situations where people think it's just going to last forever. And as soon as the hype dies down a little bit and the people that don't fully understand the technology lose interest, we may get a correction in price. It doesn't mean that I'm bearish on crypto long term. I just think in these boom and bust cycles, it's smart to take profits when people are euphoric, and during bear markets, continue to just dollar cost average into solid projects that have utility and aren't going to go to zero. I personally have a lot of my crypto investments in layer 1 solutions because I think those have the most development and can withstand bear markets the best. When I talked about the stable coins, I also have that earning interest. So I'm making money on my holdings. I also lend out my cryptocurrency that I hold. So in a way, I'm collecting dividends on the cryptocurrency that is in my portfolio. I'm not really distributing too much extra new money into the crypto portfolios. I like to throw extra money at crypto when no one cares about it and people are shitting on it. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball, and I can't say with 100% guarantee that we're going into a bear market. If that was the case, I would sell everything, double my stack when we crash, but that may not actually happen. We can't always look at the past to determine what's going to happen in the future, and that's why I always have crypto exposure in my portfolio. It's never going to go away 100%. I just tend to rebalance my risk. That's pretty much been my crypto strategy forever, and honestly, it's done pretty well. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Overall, I think the stock market is going into the late cycle of the business cycle, and when it comes to cryptocurrency, I'm being a little cautious, preparing myself mentally as well as positioning the portfolio for a bear market. Definitely comment down below on your thoughts on the markets going in 2022 for both stocks and crypto. Would love to hear other people's opinion. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like button as well as consider subscribing to Main Street Wolf, where we talk stocks, crypto, anything to do with money. Thanks guys for watching, and have a great day.